The Elisabeth Fritzl murder case, also known as the Fritzl case, was a horrific crime that took place in Austria and came to light in 2008. It involved the prolonged captivity and abuse of Elisabeth Fritzl by her own father, Josef Fritzl, over a period of 24 years. What happened to Elisabeth Fritzl? How the police found the culprit? How the case ended? Where is Elisabeth Fritzl now? Everything you want to know about this case is in this video. Welcome back to Mighty River. Elisabeth Fritzl is an Austrian woman who was held captive by her father, Josef Fritzl, for 24 years in a hidden basement beneath their family home in Amstetten, Austria. The case came to light in April 2008 and shocked the world with its horrific details. The story begins in 1984 when Elisabeth was 18 years old. Josef, her father, lured her into the basement of their home and drugged her. He then locked her in a soundproofed and windowless room that he had constructed beneath the house. Over the course of the next 24 years, Josef repeatedly sexually assaulted Elisabeth and fathered 7 children with her, including one who died shortly after birth. During her captivity, Elisabeth gave birth to all her children in the basement. The children were kept in the basement along with Elisabeth and were raised without any contact with the outside world. They had no access to education, sunlight, or normal social interactions. They were reportedly subjected to physical, psychological, and sexual abuse by Josef. The conditions in which they were forced to live were appalling and inhumane. Josef, who was a handyman, had constructed the basement. The basement had multiple rooms, with a total floor area estimated to be around 60 square meters, 645 square feet. It was described as dark, cramped, and windowless, with a low ceiling height of about 1.7 meters, 5.6 feet. The walls were reportedly soundproofed to prevent any noise from escaping and alerting anyone to their presence. Access to the basement was through a concealed entrance, hidden behind a shelf or a cupboard in the Fritzl family home. This entrance led to a small corridor, which then opened up into the various rooms within the basement. The basement was secured with a heavy steel door, which could only be opened with an electronic code known only to Josef. The basement was equipped with basic facilities for survival, including a small kitchen with a hot plate, a sink, and a refrigerator. There was also a rudimentary bathroom with a shower, toilet, and washing machine. However, conditions in the basement were extremely poor, with no natural light, poor ventilation, and inadequate sanitation. Josef had installed an alarm system with surveillance cameras in the basement to monitor Elisabeth and her children and to alert him if anyone tried to escape. Elisabeth's mother, Rosemary Fritzl, was not aware of her daughter's captivity in the basement. Josef had manipulated and deceived Rosemary, as well as other family members and neighbors, by creating a false story that Elisabeth had run away and joined a cult, and that the children were abandoned on their doorstep. The 3 children left on the doorstep were Kirsten Fritzl, Stefan Fritzl, and Lisa Fritzl. Rosemary was kept in the dark about the true nature of her daughter's captivity and the existence of her grandchildren. Josef Fritzl's act of leaving the children on the doorstep was part of his elaborate plan to conceal the truth about his horrific crimes and maintain his facade of a normal life. The Elisabeth Fritzl case came to light in April 2008 when her eldest daughter, Kirsten, fell seriously ill and was taken to the hospital by Josef Fritzl. As Kirsten's condition deteriorated, Elisabeth urged Josef to allow her to go to the hospital to see Kirsten. Josef initially refused but eventually relented and accompanied Elisabeth to the hospital, claiming that she was Kirsten's sister. At the hospital, staff became suspicious when they realized that Kirsten had no official records or identification, and Josef's explanations for her condition were inconsistent. However, hospital staff found Elisabeth's behavior and demeanor to be suspicious, and they alerted the police. When questioned by the police, Elisabeth revealed her true identity and told them about the years of captivity and abuse she had endured at the hands of Josef, including the fact that he was her father and had fathered her children. The case shocked the world, and Josef Fritzl was charged with multiple counts of rape, incest, false imprisonment, and murder. Elisabeth and her children were freed and received extensive medical and psychological care. The children were taken into protective custody and received medical and psychological care to help them recover from the trauma they had endured. They were eventually placed in foster care and have been provided with support and assistance to rebuild their lives after the harrowing ordeal they experienced. During his trial, Josef Fritzl initially pleaded not guilty to the charges, but later changed his plea to guilty on all counts except murder. He admitted to imprisoning his daughter Elisabeth in the basement of their family home for 24 years, sexually abusing her, and fathering 7 children with her. He denied responsibility for the death of one of the children who died shortly after birth in the basement. On March 19, 2009, Josef Fritzl was found guilty of all charges against him, including murder, and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. He was ordered to be detained in a psychiatric facility for the duration of his sentence due to his psychological state. Josef Fritzl was also ordered to pay compensation to his victims, including Elisabeth and her children. Josef Fritzl is currently serving his life sentence in a prison in Austria. The case received widespread international attention and shocked the world with the heinous nature of the crimes committed against Elisabeth and her children. It stands as one of the most appalling cases of long-term captivity, abuse, and incest in modern history. Elisabeth Fritzl and her children were placed under protective custody and provided with new identities to shield them from media attention and potential threats. They were relocated to a secure location to ensure their safety and privacy. It is not publicly known where Elisabeth Fritzl and her children are currently residing, as their exact location and identities have been kept confidential to protect them from further harm.